What's up, Yugi Nation? It's your boy Yenzo, and for today we will be talking about the game that you've probably seen being played everywhere. Genshin Impact is a free-to-play action role-playing game developed and published by MiHoYo, who are known for Honkai Impact 3rd, a popular action game. The game features fantasy-based open world with gacha game mechanics. It's currently available for a lot of platforms like the PC, PlayStation 4, Android, and iOS. So without further ado, let's go! So before we start, let me just give you a brief background of what the game's story is all about. In Genshin Impact, you play as one of the twin otherworlders who stumbled on an unknown god. From there, a fight happens resulting in one of the twins kidnapping and the other being banished to the world. After a few months, you and your companion Paimon, a fairy, trying to find clues by contacting gods about your missing sibling and trying to regain your lost powers. The world is basically going chaotic, and you are in the middle of trying to restore peace. It's kinda cliche, but hell, it's an anime game, so it's pretty solid as far as plots go. The people you meet are very inspired and can range from different personalities, looks, cultures, backstories to get you immersed in the game. So now, let's start with the mechanics. There are a lot of similarities to Breath of the Wild. Not that it's a bad thing, because Breath of the Wild has a lot of good mechanics that complements the game's themes. Elements like cooking food, gathering materials, fighting monsters, traveling, and so on, all of these are essential to the player to feel this big adventure and the challenges that the player will encounter. There are elements from other games as well, like the Tales games, and other gacha games such as FGO or Fate Grand Order. There are also RPG elements where the player can choose dialogues and interactions with the NPCs. As I said earlier, Genshin Impact has similar mechanics with Breath of the Wild. From the open world, its stamina bar, and even the glider. Climbing is also similar, wherein the player can climb anything to a range of degree depending on the depth of the player's stamina bar. This gives the player the feeling of adventure where the sky is the limit on how you could get to the destination. Gathering items like food and materials are also similar to Breath of the Wild. The game rewards exploration. For example, a certain way will lead you to a deposit of a certain material, while the other way can also give you an enemy camp with a chest full of goodies. All of this is necessary for a player to get stronger, for gathering will yield materials for you to upgrade your equipment. The game also has something similar to the trials, much like in Zelda. However, these dungeons don't operate the same way. In Breath of the Wild, you either solve a series of puzzles or defeat a certain enemy or enemies for you to get the orbs that will allow you to increase your stamina, health, or the number of weapons that you can carry. In Genshin, it makes you explore a dungeon for unique items and materials while also fighting enemies. In addition, the game has fast travel points that you can see in the map, only accessible if you travel there. However, there are places that are more dangerous and require you to level up a bit. Caution is advised when traveling around the world, but it's all worth it for the shortcut. The game's combat is also very solid, much like Breath of the Wild, where your environment and strategy are very much involved when it comes to victory. For example, being on a grassy plain will give you certain effects when fire is added, which can be devastating for the enemy or yourself. It all depends on how the player is able to take all these things into account and strategize on the best course of action. But unlike Breath of the Wild, the combat in Genshin does not take into account the durability of the weapons the character is using. So that means you don't have to always scavenge the enemies for other weapons that will break after 10 uses. Genshin Impact also has a multiplayer mode, but players will have to level up their rank in order to do so. The multiplayer option in the game unlocks after a player has reached Adventure Rank 16. It also supports cross-platform play between PS4, PC, iOS, and Android. There are also limitations in the co-op play. As previously stated, you can only invite up to 3 friends at a time. Now let's talk about the cooking, since you'll probably do this a lot in the game. Cooking in Genshin is also similar to any adventure game. If you have the right ingredients, you can cook a certain dish. But what Genshin does is similar to the Monster Hunter cooking minigame, but easier because you can see the bar to cook the dish perfectly. In addition to that, if a player makes enough of a certain food, the game allows you to automatically cook the meal perfectly. The game also has a really great gacha element. If you are unfamiliar with gacha games, these are the games that make you roll for items, characters, or materials from a list. One can get common stuff or the extremely rare stuff that can give you a significant boost. Gacha games can really be addicting and can be a real problem because companies will give you special in-game currency for real money so you can roll even more. Rolling means getting more, but it all depends. It's a total gamble every time. In addition to getting more new characters, you will be given their stats and even more personal informations like birthday and even voice lines for you to get the personality of the character. There is also a friendship bar which will unlock more information about the person. So in conclusion, in my opinion, Genshin Impact is a love letter to Japanese games. You can clearly see the influences like Breath of the Wild, FGO, the Tale series, and other great JRPGs, and it does very well in making its own strides towards this. Overall, it's a very solid game with very good adventure elements and a lively world, story, and characters. Another thing to take note is that there will be upcoming content for this game, so not everything is final, and I look forward to it. Genshin Impact is a free-to-play game, and those who are willing to give it a try, I can give it a good recommendation. So, what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and don't forget to visit yugatech.com/gaming for more news, tips, and tricks. It's your boy Enzo, and stay safe!